Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Leadership Lean In. We are leaning in. We're not leaning back, too cool for school, whatever happens. No, we're in attack mode. We are leaning in to the subject of leadership just to get a little bit better. Again, I want to thank every person that likes and subscribes to this podcast, comments on this podcast, shares it. Helps us so much. In fact, right now, just whatever platform you're on, subscribe to the pod. If there's an area, comment, let us know where you're watching or listening from. If you'd like to join our nation, we're not the biggest nation in the whole world. There are other nations larger, but we are a small nation called the Leaner Nation. And we're just trying to get a little bit better. We cannot promise perfection, but as always, we are going to deliver as promised progress. I'm excited today. I've got a returning guest with me today. I've got no stranger to the pod. She started the pod when she said yes to the dress. I have with me today, put your hands together. The nation's going wild. Saul has slain his thousands. David is 10,000s. And Pastor Julia, her hundreds of thousands.
Wow.
Put your hands together. Make some noise. Julia.
Wow. That's quite the
Do
introduction.
you hear the horns he's hitting over there?
Yeah, I feel like I'm in the club. You guys, I don't go to the club.
But when we used to go to the club.
Yeah. Before kids. Just kidding.
We used to go salsa dancing where I would get to watch you salsa dance with other men.
This is a true story. This was our, well, don't say
on
other
Valentine's
men.
night, our first Valentine's together.
Okay.
You had the idea, let's go to a salsa dancing place.
We were barely dating.
Barely dating.
We were not in a
They were not in a committed relationship, although I was
you were
pursuing.
Committed. Yeah.
And where did we go?
We went salsa dancing.
What was the name of this place?
But I did not salsa dance with you.
No, I don't know. No,
you couldn't keep up.
Ricky was having a time. And you're such a good salsa dancer, or Ricky Martin, whatever. You're such a good salsa dancer, by the way. How many years did you go to salsa dance like once a week? For how many years?
Salsa dance once a week.
Didn't you?
Salsa Dance Academy. Just kidding. No, I'm not that great.
Stop it.
Dancer.
You're very good. You're insane.
I dabbled.
For how many years?
A few years. We dance a little in the kitchen.
Yeah, but like you were going to the salsa dance and like you were involved in the whole thing.
I was in it. Yes. I did some
You're
lessons.
so good. You're
I did
so
some
good.
lessons. I danced with some Rickies.
I wasn't mad by the way, I wasn't mad. I was like that night going like, this girl's unbelievable. Top 5 things that you could do. One of them is salsa dance, maybe 5.
I don't know how to take that. That's amazing.
I think it's unbelievable. Like that's such a skill. Like you're very good at it.
I once was okay. And I mean, speaking of leadership, salsa
the guy has to be the leader.
The guy has to know how to lead.
That's why I can't be out there.
And so on our first Valentine's Day.
It's a true story.
I was just hoping that you would step up and lean in.
I've been waiting. And ever since, you showed me that night who you really were.
No, I used to dance on Thursday nights. This was my Thursday.
Okay,
night
yes,
schedule.
this is what I'm getting at.
I worked in finance for 11 years.
A long time.
Before we had Georgia.
Yep.
And I worked this job and I was going to business school at night. So on Thursdays, this was my schedule.
Yep.
I worked I would get up really early.
Yep.
I'd work and then I'd take I went to University of Washington. I took like 2 courses. I think my schedule was like somewhere between like 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. was one class. And then like 6:30 to 8:30 was the second class.
Jeez.
Then I'd run home, get ready, and then I would dance from 10 p.m. until 2 in the morning. And I'd go by myself sometimes. And
Thursday nights.
It was a hobby. It wasn't like I was out on the prowl. I just feel like I need to clarify.
No,
this.
stop.
Yes.
You were like, this is a
stop laughing at me.
This is a true story.
I didn't. When I woke up this morning, I didn't think that this is what we were going to talk about.
And this was on Queen Anne.
This was in Capitol Hill.
Capitol Hill. That's
Shout
right.
out to Seattle.
Capitol Hill.
Yeah, right above Molly Moon's ice cream.
That's right. Because we used to walk by every time we were in Seattle. Walk by, I'd be like, "Boys, your mom used to dance up there." They're like, "What?"
Oh my god. Yeah. Well, if you guys want to go on the tour of all the places that I've salsa danced, but I still like to dance. We dance.
You're an amazing dancer.
We dance in our home.
I think our youngest is going to turn out to be able to dance as good as you. I think our other two boys.
Dancing is a different skill. He's got like Kenergy.
He's very like Kenergy, very hip hop, very bro, very fratty.
Yeah.
But still
fratty.
He loves to dance. I feel like if we put him in dance lessons, he could be like he knows what he's doing. He could be dancing with the stars.
Yeah. Your dancing skills are pretty good.
Don't say that, Julia.
You stay in your lane.
I stay in my lane. I just find the beat and try and stay on the beat. I just move to the beat. Anyways, I can't do what you do.
Hey guys, we're going to take a quick break from this episode to hear about some of our sponsors.
That's right. Okay, we've been working with one of our sponsors for a while now. Shout out to Overflow. Overflow has completely innovated the way people give, fundraise, and donate to organizations. How cool is this? They've innovated in such a way that you can give crypto, stock, wills, you can give in all sorts of different ways. And they don't just work with churches anymore. Now they've expanded any organization that is receiving funds. You should head over to overflow.co/LLI to book a demo. And I'm just going to say it, head on over, meet the team. They're awesome. Even if you're not going to get a demo, you might as well meet them because they're the best people in the world. Head on over to overflow.co/LLI.
I want to talk today about this little small
leading
nation.
Your partner with the movement of life, whether you spin them or flip them. If life gets spinny, is your partner leading you? No, I don't know. I'm segueing somewhere.
I wish that I could turn salsa dancing into a leadership talk.
I think you
or
could.
dancing in general.
You could figure it out.
You are a superstar. You are an amazing leader. Again, one of the best things you do, I think, is have fun and dance. You do a ton of other things so exceptionally well. Fashion is what you're known for. I think everybody acknowledges your fashion. Everybody knows you're the best dresser. But everywhere I go, people are like, your wife's style is unbelievable. People love your fashion. Wow, and you dress all of our boys so well. Anytime I ever get a compliment on what I'm wearing, it's because of you. You went to our mall and bought some sale item at H&M or Zara. You don't just have the best style, you have paid the best price point for this style. How did you get good? We're going to talk about leadership in a moment. How did you get good at the hustle?
Oh.
Like finding the deal. Where does that come from? Like you're never going to pay top price for stuff.
I think it comes from the rule breaker in me. Maybe, we're really talking about sales. This is where we're heading here.
There's a lot of leaders that are trying to find out, how did you become so great? What's the psychology behind your fashion greatness?
I like a deal. I like to stretch a dollar. I like the challenge.
You love to stretch a dollar. That's exactly right. That's your language.
And I'm not afraid to ask for the deal.
And you'll also ask for the deal.
Yeah.
That's so good.
I am not afraid to find the one that was mismarked and.
No, you go on the prowl. Yeah. I love it. I love this about you. Anyways, what I'm trying to say, if you're talking about segues, I'm complimenting you because you're so good at so many different things. I think you're amazing. I think that you do so many things at such a high level. I marvel at your leadership. I want to talk today about 5 qualities of a great leader, and I want to kind of just break these down. The first quality to me of a great leader is having a great attitude. When I say that, having a great attitude, you and I, we're always trying to work on our attitude. We're always trying to help our employees and our team here work on a great attitude. When I talk about attitude, what comes to mind when I talk about a great leader having a great attitude?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that you've mentioned this before. You said it's a small army. Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's small.
leaners,
The
they're
leaner
small.
nations is small, but we do acknowledge us ourselves
I would
as a nation.
maybe they're more like they're like medium. I feel like they're growing. In
Okay,
size.
we'll take
Maybe
it.
schmedium.
As promised progress. Medium.
We're a schmedium nation. I don't know if the nation has heard the two things that we ask of the boys in our house.
Great.
I don't know.
Do
if
this.
Let's do this.
Yes.
Together. But we say in our house, there's just two things that we ask of you. We ask you, and they will repeat. They say that that we require them to be a good brother and to have a positive attitude.
That's it.
And attitude is something that some of us have to work on more than others. I unfortunately don't always wake up with the best attitude. Sometimes it requires the right
cup of coffee.
Yes, the coffee sleep concoction. Yeah.
Yes.
But I do think that it's not just a choice. It's figuring out how to get there.
There you go.
It is. I'm like joking recently that in the 40s, I feel like when you're in your 40s and you hang out socially, you talk about your doctor's appointments.
Yes.
Or the supplements that you're taking. This is like the reality of our life.
So real.
But I think sometimes our realities and our age demographic, but I think in all age demographics, it's like knowing your makeup and finding how to fight for that positive attitude.
That's right.
Or fight for that right spirit.
That's
or fight for the health in your soul. And sometimes it's a simple concoction for some people, but sometimes it takes a lot of layers. And I think that we need to be more unapologetic about what we do need to get to that positive attitude.
That's right.
And that's something that like I had to learn, that I had to ask for that. Yeah.
Right.
I know that tomorrow I'm going to be a happier mom if tonight I get better sleep. So how about you put the boys to sleep tonight?
Yeah.
So I do think it some of it is semantics, and it just takes like a simple formula for some people, but for sometimes it's just learning how to get there.
That's exactly right. And I think, an attitude, it is a decision. I think your attitude is a choice. But like you're saying, there's a recipe or a concoction. There's a cocktail of decisions you can make to really give your shot to have a good attitude. And so, sleep is a part of that. Diet is a part of that. Rhythms of rest, as far as schedule goes, having fun. I've found for us what impacts our attitude is like sometimes going out with friends that we love and spending time together. Our mood changes. I think just being aware, like what you're saying, of what you need as a leader, as a person. I know I'm going to be at my best when I can get X, Y, Z. And I know that if I don't, I think it's just having self-awareness and really, I think every leader should be a student of themselves. I know my weaknesses. I know, we were talking about the Enneagram the other day. In weakness, I turn to X, and in strength, I lean towards this. I think always just being aware of like, this could affect my attitude, and I'm going to be challenged to rule my spirit. But I know that if I can do these things, it brings out the best version of me.
Right.
I think that's always our goal, right? It's just like, I want to be the healthiest version of me. I want to be the best version of me. And it's like, even last night, after all three of our boys have baseball last night, and we finished with a game, and we're trying to decide where to go eat, and we're throwing out ideas, and I could tell the car is just melting down per second. And the moment they get food in them,
they're fine.
They're fine.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing for adults. It's like our attitude can get really creased over certain scenarios, and we need things. We need to identify. I know if I can get as simple as a meal, as simple as a coffee with a friend, as simple as a date night, or as simple as a workout, that's going to affect my attitude and being unapologetic about that.
Yeah. It makes me think of, the kids do have their meltdown moments. They do have their, this is such a parenting word, their big feelings.
Totally.
But I think that when we talk to the kids, like we're teaching them how to have planned responses when they are hungry, tired, angry, because a lot of times it's like, oh, if we just feed them or if they just got rest, but life has disruptions.
There you go.
And we have to teach the kids now how to have planned responses when you're hungry, when you're tired, instead of just justifying that they're hungry, tired.
That's right. I was even thinking about, and there's a pastor that recently had to deal with a really large kind of in real-time crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And got up on stage in real-time crisis, had to handle a moment, and continued for the next couple hours to lead a moment. And I was so impressed with their emotional maturity. Right. I was so impressed with this person's ability to rule his spirit and to be a leader in that moment. And part of that is just having emotional maturity, having a good attitude when it's not good. I like what you're saying, because life is rarely like 72 and sunny. We live in the new Seattle now, Los Angeles, the worst weather. All of a sudden, we left Seattle to move into Seattle a decade later. Weird. But you're right. It's not always.
You know that people that don't live in Los Angeles, they laugh at us when we complain about
I don't
our
care
weather.
what they think. We're suffering.
Yeah, we're really struggling when it's 68 instead of 72.
It's just not what we signed up for. We don't pay these taxes for this kind of weather. But I like what you're saying is that part of leadership to me is learning how to lead when it's not going good, when it's not favorable, when you don't have the momentum you once had, or fill in the blank. How do you have a winning attitude, a winning spirit, and rule that in your own life? I think that's a big deal. The second thing I think about a great leader is they don't just have a great attitude, they have a great effort.
Our next sponsor is a company called BELAY. And if you have any staffing needs, any hiring emergencies, if you're looking for online assistance, BELAY is the company for you. Not only do they provide top-notch professional service, but they have a special gift for you for all of our leaners. Head on over to the description in the link below, and we're going to get you hooked up with everything you need from BELAY.
All right, let's jump right back into this episode.
Second thing I think about a great leader is they don't just have a great attitude, they have a great effort. And this to me is what separates you, because I know you and I watch you. You work from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, you work. And I think it's that Eastern European bloodstream that you got, that little Polish twist of bloodline you got going on. It's the Eastern Euro. I always think people from Moldova, Ukraine.
You just wanted to say Moldova.
I love Moldova.
Yeah.
Ukraine. I always think that they're worth like 10 to 1 American, just as far as work ethic goes. You have that crazy work ethic. You put your best foot forward every day. Where does that come from, and what really motivates you to work that hard?
Yeah, I mean, where our drive comes from is, kind of an age-old question that we're always searching for drive and inspiration and vision. And I have parents that modeled hard work. My parents still work so hard. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen that like meme where it's like, I married into the family that like does. Yeah.
I always think of your family every time.
We will
Dear
always
God.
be
The turkey
family
trot
that
family.
exercises on holidays and vacations.
Dear God. Yes.
This is fascinating because our boys like crawl into our bed all the time.
Don't say all the time.
No, but to wake us up. Not all the time. Okay.
Don't say all the time. How often?
Oh, Clive got into the bed this morning.
This morning he did?
Okay, let me back up. I don't have one single memory
Yes.
of waking my parents up. Their bed was always made.
That's wild.
This is like as a child, this is like as a teenager, they were up early, bed made, ready to go. And they've always been morning people. And so you just would assume, oh, they like go to bed early.
No, they do not go to bed early.
They've always been morning people and night people.
It's wild to me.
They've always been hardworking
Jeez.
people, but they woke up and they conquered the day. So yes, that was like modeled in my home, was hard work.
And did they put language to that when you were a kid? Like, we're going to conquer the day, we're going to win the day, or was it just simply modeled for you?
I think it was just modeled. Yeah. I wouldn't say like I have like
mantras and yeah.
No, none of that. I mean, I definitely have like some mantras. It was like, we eat, we don't eat until we're full, we eat until we're tired, stuff like that.
Oh my gosh. I thought you were going to say something good. And then you finished it and I was like, oh gosh.
You want clips. Don't use that clip. This is a true story. When Chad asked my dad for my hand in marriage, he told him that the best advice he could give him was to just make sure that I was fed.
He goes, you want to marry Julia? Feed her. I was like, what?
I would assume that it was something a little bit better than that.
No. That's what he said. You want to marry Julia? Feed her. I go, what? He goes, she gets really cranky if she's hungry. She's hypoglycemic. But yeah, you can marry her.
Oh my. Wow.
We're blessed.
Yeah. There was a lot of great food. There still is in our family. But no, I do think back to the effort or the hard work or the input. There were moments growing up where we were required to be tough and there's the book Girl Wash Your Face.
I was just thinking
we
that.
were the original Girl Wash Your Face.
That's how you were raised.
Yeah. I mean, if there was emotions or tears or frustration, it was go to the bathroom, wash your face, and then come out. And so we knew how to do hard things.
Wow.
We did. And there's 4 girls in our family, no boys. And there were a lot of natural emotions and big feelings.
Right.
But we knew how to do hard things.
Wow.
And we knew how to keep going.
Yeah, I think it's something I admire about you a lot is that like it feels to me like every morning you get up, doesn't matter what happened the day before, you're going to work hard today and you're going to put your best foot forward. And there's a real respect that comes when you work hard. I think people can recognize it. I think people can sense this person doesn't mail it in. They're not just living to, I hope everyone has a level of comfort and they can have, comfort to, go shopping or take vacations or whatever. But we're not working so hard for comfort. I think why your parents are still working hard and why you work so hard is because the thrill or the joy is in the work, not the comfort. The satisfaction is in the process of trying to build, trying to accomplish, trying to improve, trying to get better. And that itself is enough to satisfy. It's not trying to get this done so that I can go rest on the beach. It's like, I always find what I love about you is like, you love getting it done. And you're just as satisfied. You would be more, like I always joke around, when people are like, what's Julia like? I'm like, her drug is productivity. That is your high. Being productive is your greatest thrill in life.
Yeah, it is. And it's not always healthy.
No, but
I can talk about the reverse side of this where I always felt like I had, and a lot of this is like how I'm wired and how I've always been. But forever, I felt like I had to earn rest.
Sure.
That I didn't lead with rest. I didn't Sabbath first. That was a reward once I obtained.
You to
and
do
I
all
earned,
this to
and
earn
I
it.
Achieved. So much so that when I traveled, and I still fight this, and you can attest to this, but early on, it was like when I traveled, it was every bill had to be paid. any old boss that I ever worked under can say, like, they'd have to like force me out of the office because I was like, had to do every single thing, make every single checklist. Like if the flight was at 6 a.m., I'm up at 3 a.m., like bleaching the bathrooms. Like every bill was paid. Like it had to be left perfect. And I think, I mean, we could go down this topic for a long period of time, but I do think that Georgia, our daughter's diagnosis was 12 years ago, almost exactly, was providential in this revelation that life is disruptive and it's not meant to be controlled. And it taught me how to be content in a lot of different seasons. And it wasn't just content with disruption, but it was content with not being able to control the proverbial checklist.
That's right.
Or to-do lists. But in general, yes, I am very, I like being efficient. I like getting things done. I joke about this in our church. Like I would enjoy like stacking chairs more than I would being on the stage.
I agree with
like,
this.
I like to do.
You love to work.
I do like to work.
Yeah.
I've always been that way.
But I think what you're talking about is a process of maturation, a process of self-awareness and self-discovery, of learning how something that is your strength could be your greatest weakness. You know, that what makes you so bright and great as a leader is also your dark side. Again, in health, it's beautiful. In weakness, this is a burden. And so I think always for all of us, like you're naturally gifted with work ethic. How that manifests and the motivation, I always think the motive of a leader is the why of a leader is the biggest hurdle.
Sure.
Why am I working so hard? For validation, for approval,
right,
for self-worth.
Right.
I think we're all in process of figuring that out. Why am I working so hard? And the moment you can start to arrest those heart issues, then you're doing the same thing just from a healthier place, a healthier perspective.
The motive is pure.
Another thing about another quality of a great leader, in my opinion, is being a great teammate. And I think this is something that you really dominate. You love, you said it already, you'd rather stack the chairs than be on the platform. You love being a teammate. You love being a support. You don't need attention. You don't need praise. You love watching other people win. You're thinking about others. Where does that come from? You have 3 sisters. Does it come from being a sister? And when I say that, being a great teammate, what comes to mind that's so important for leaders to understand the value of this?
You learn a lot about yourself when you have kids, and I'm laughing because I'm thinking about our child that's the most like me is Winston.
Yeah.
And he's in a lot of team sports right now, but he is highly competitive. Now let's get this straight first of all, so the Schmedium Nation can know.
Oh gosh.
Chad is the athlete, but I am the competitive one.
This is very true though. Like I'm competitive, but not at your level.
Yes. And I've tried to compensate with my unathleticism by like, exercising. I don't know how you compensate with unathleticism.
Yeah, but no, that's not fair. You're an athlete. You didn't grow up playing team sports all through high school, but you're an athlete. Stop.
Yes. But in general, I like to win.
You want to win.
I want to win.
You're willing to do anything to win.
Anything to win, to recognize that I'm not the star quarterback. So I will play whatever position possible to be the winner. I don't play a lot of sports, but I do love sports. And I love watching. I watch a lot of sports.
You made me so proud on Sunday when I was like, we're going to have to go in our bedroom to watch the Masters because Winston's watching a show on the main TV. And you were like, absolutely not. It is Sunday Masters. We are watching on the main screen. Our boys are going to watch. I was like, I love this woman. So this is beautiful.
On our honeymoon. Okay, we're in the backup, and then I'm gonna get back to Winston. I don't talk fast. I talk in circles. So
No, stop. Take your time. I love this.
We dated for 6 months. The salsa dance episode was about 3 months in. We had a 3-month engagement, so 9 months start to finish. Then we go on a honeymoon, and I was like, "Oh, we are learning about each other on our honeymoon." It was September.
What did you discover?
Oh, guns. That's
what did you discover?
I'm not going to reveal all of our honeymoons. No, I discovered that you wanted to watch sports every single day.
You're like, wow, this guy really likes watching football. It's football season. We got married in September.
Yeah. And September is now and still always our favorite month.
The favorite month of the year.
We love September. But I do remember in the beginning, just like a realization. Okay, like,
oh, this is a thing.
This is like an everyday, all day thing.
Don't worry, sweetheart. The Lakers play today at 4:30 p.m. in the playoff tournament. We'll be watching it. Continue.
But now I know that.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
And I'm like ahead of making plans of that. No, but when you first traveled in our first year of marriage, I used to fall asleep to SportsCenter.
I remember this.
Because it was just like a familiar thing, but then I learned to love it. I learned to
it's called leadership. Keep going.
Yeah. I was mentored, and I was molded and submitted by your leadership. No, but I have asked Winston, our son, who was very frustrated by a loss. And I asked him after the loss, and specifically after he tried to challenge one of the refs.
Yeah, the story of my life.
I asked him, I said, do you care about how you did in the game, or do you care about the win? Because I was so curious, because he does really care about how he does. He gets frustrated if he performs poorly. So I know that he does care about that. But he said, oh, I care about the win. And I think if you break me open, I do care about the win of the team.
That's it.
And I think that is where I can play any position.
Yeah.
And I do fundamentally like believe like when you win, I win.
Absolutely.
And I feel that, and I love that. Yeah, so maybe it does come from like big family, like celebrating others and other people's successes and wins. But
I think it's a maturity thing as well. I think that you, I don't ever sense jealousy from you. That you're not a jealous person by nature. You don't ever look at people's stuff or what they're doing or what they have and go like, oh, I gotta have that. I think that's what allows you to be a good teammate is, I care about the win of the big picture, not my picture. And I think a small soul, a small leader is really only self-absorbed, self-concerned.
yeah,
I got to win because I got to be big. I got to be recognized. I got to get accolade or praise. And I think it's a gift of God that God's given you. Not everybody's got that to go like, man, I Winston has that. I care about the team.
Yeah.
And to me, you can't even begin to be a good teammate until you have that.
Yeah.
Being a good teammate is thinking about what is the best thing for the team. Being a bad teammate is what's the best thing for me.
Yeah.
Caring about my stats, caring about, how I'm celebrated and praised.
I think too, though, on the flip side, like inferiority is like
at play.
Whether it's jealousy or inferiority, when the me monster comes out and disrupts the team, I think at the root of that, on whether it's on both sides, is just kind of a lack of not necessarily ownership, but like a lack of awareness and respect for what God's giving you.
That's exactly right.
And I think that you do this so well too, is that I don't see you comparing or being jealous, because I've always said this about you and your leadership ability, is that you're very comfortable with your gift. You're comfortable in your own skin, and you know what God's put in your hand and in your heart. Like, you know what your grace is, you know what your grace is not. And I think when you have good stewardship to what you have, I think that helps you play a good part in the team, because you're like, I'm not the best shooter. I'm
just part of the team.
I'm just part of the team. And I'm grateful to be in the game. I really am.
And I think the more that you can recognize that, what's my role? You know, think about, you're on a lot of different teams. You're on your family team. You're on my family's team. You're on our our specific family team. You're on a staff. Our friend group, you know, you're in so many different teams. I'm always just trying to figure out what's my role here. And because every setting I walk in, I play a different role. And I think that comes from the ability to go, how can I best add value? To me, that's a good teammate, of going like, I don't need the win for me and be a ball hog. I just want to add value here. And if I can add value, I know the team will have great chemistry, camaraderie.
Right. We'll
have a great time together. We'll make great memories. I'm just, at the end of the day, I'm a role player. I think I want to be careful, because you're ambitious. I'm ambitious. I want to accomplish a lot. I want to do something great on the earth. But I think that there's a fine line between being ambitious and having selfish ambition.
Totally.
Ambition is for like the good of the whole. Selfish ambition is like, I'm out for me and I got to be the star. Be careful. If you want to be the star, be careful for that. I think for both of us, we don't need to be the star. We understand our role in the bigger context of life and the different roles that we play. And we're there to add value. This to me is a big deal, because I think if you could just see yourself, for any leader listening, you could just see yourself as a teammate, frees you up.
Yeah.
From not having to be the Michael Jordan of your organization.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off. Here's the last one, is that I think that great leaders are constantly improving.
Yeah.
Like innovative, thinking, planning, trying to get better, and this is
learning, leaning.
See what you did there. Leaning, learning. You're always doing this. You're always reading, you're always listening, you're always talking, you're always asking questions, you're always on the phone, you're always identifying, hey, I think we could fix this. I think this is broke. Talk to me about the value of that and how freeing that is to never feel like you've arrived, but you're always trying to get better.
Yeah, I think for both of us, our parents are friends, but I think that both of our parents modeled the never stop learning.
Never.
And all four of our parents were educators in the public school.
Central Washington University, shout out.
Yeah, there's...
Were you conceived in Ellensburg, Washington? Like I was conceived in Ellensburg, Washington?
You know what? There's something that you just don't ask your parents. Yeah.
You're 40. You can ask them anything. You were made in Yelm. I think you were made in Yelm, Washington. I was created in Ellensburg, Washington.
I don't think that's
Shout out to Ellensburg,
sure.
Central Washington.
Central Washington. What were we talking about? I got distracted.
We're talking about our parents. Our parents are lifelong learners.
They are. They're learners. They're yeah, I think I've always been curious.
Yes.
I think that I enjoy knowing the why.
Yep.
Like I like to understand what's behind something. I think a part of that has always been there, not necessarily that I saw that modeled. I think that learning and developing comes from that place of like understanding like we've been given a responsibility. So it's not just our staff. It's not just us, it's our kids too. It's almost like do or die sometimes.
Yeah.
I also think that there's always a better way.
Totally. Like being
Like
convinced.
I'm like, we've never arrived.
Yeah.
It's always.
And I think, your family has this. My little sister, my little brother are like this, we saw it model, but like, if you look at any of our siblings, we're all on this massive quest of discovery and improvement. That's a common thread on both sides of the family, but it's been modeled by our parents. Like, we are all trying to pick up every hack, every parenting book, every podcast, every money management. Like, I just think when you get that in the culture, remember a couple of years ago when we were in Switzerland at a wedding and we were talking to a friend, we were on that hike. And remember that girl that was telling us about her family that like, they all have to read a book. Do they do book reports in that family? I forget the details of it.
Yeah, she was born into like a legendary like 5th generation like family business.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of questions about the family dynamic because I'm always intrigued when someone talks about their family or their parents with such high esteem or high regard. Like, so then that just like piques my interest. So I was just asking some of their family cultural things, what they do. And she was just like she was explaining that they had to work for another company for 5 years before they worked for the family business.
I remember this.
She was explaining some of the books that they read together, what they do with their New Year's resolutions together, and then how to keep each other accountable for their New Year's resolutions. And I was just so intrigued and thought that was such a cool concept that you're not only like saying, I'm inspired by you, but let's do this
learn together. Yeah, she had said something to the effect of like, we don't do TV during X times growing up. So even my parents wouldn't watch TV during those times growing up. I think it, learning is, how smiles are contagious? Learning is contagious.
Yeah.
When you're around people that are constantly on this quest of discovery. I am so inspired and challenged when I get around intelligent people such as yourself. You're 10 times smarter than me. That is not even a question. Such as yourself, other friends of ours, where I'm just like, you just learned that. You just heard that. You just read that.
Wow.
That to me is like, yeah, I got to keep up. Part of that's like, I got to keep up. I can't stay, someone recently was telling me about a friend of ours that, we both adore. And he said, in passing, I think they stopped learning 4 years ago.
Wow.
Stopped reinventing themselves. And I think that stood out to me. It scared me because I'm like, God, I hope no one ever says that about me. Yeah. That I'm always on this quest of like, not self-discovery, but also I just think there's so much to learn about life and so much to learn about insights of all the buckets, facets about who we are. I like thinking about physical, financial, spiritual, emotional, relational. Let's just start there. There's so much to improve in those 5 buckets of life. And I think to be a great leader is to go, I signed up to climb the mountain of constant improvement.
Right.
I will not arrive and go, I'm 40, this is who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it goes beyond just like gaining more knowledge. And then it goes beyond just gaining the knowledge and learning and then shooting off the opinion of it. I feel like there's so many people that are consuming so much. We talk to our kids about this all the time. We're like, you were born to be a creator, not a consumer.
Yes.
And so whether that's like books or screens, like I want you to create as much as you consume. Like I want you to activate that. And I think we live in an era where everyone's consuming knowledge. It's like they're learning from books and podcasts and quotes, and then they're regurgitating it. And yes, that's amazing. But I think the reflection or the introspective
Yes.
work of saying, okay, now how can I apply
it.
this?
There you
like
go.
that takes great courage.
The hardest part.
That takes great work.
That's the hardest part.
And I think that, I think that it's hard to do something that you've heard and not just say it, but to say, how can I improve?
Actually apply
in
this.
area?
Huge. Well, I love that I'm on the journey with you, and I'm thankful that you challenge my leadership and that you set a pace and an example of all these things. And I feel like you always call me to be the best version of me. Anytime I do something dumb as a leader, you're like, you're not doing that. So, Leaner Nation, is this so cool? You're the only guest that's been on 3 times? I think so. I think you're the only person that's been on 3 times. It is a treat today to have had Julia. Go crazy wherever you're at. If you're on a run, just do a little clap. If you're in the office, maybe you're a group of people watching it, give us a little clap. Thank you again to everybody that is in our Medium Nation leadership lean in. Again, like, subscribe, leave a comment. Tell us one thought you loved about what Julia was saying today. And we'll see you next time on Leadership Lean In.